watching Gearz, brought to you by Holly Performance Products. Fuel your passion. And Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
Hey, welcome to Gearz, where we are about to top off the Faded Levi project. Now, if you're just tuning into this project, the idea was not to completely restore or rebuild this 77 CJ5. There was no reason to. It was in great shape. There was no rust anywhere. It just didn't run. It'd been sitting for 10 years, which is exactly the way that most people are finding projects these days. So the goal was to do a simple level 2 project on it. So the first thing we did was fix any problems and get it running. Oh man, oil pressure looks good. It's 50 pounds. Volts, things are charging. Man, this is great. Then to upgrade any areas that could use improvement. So we put on a new 4-inch lift and 33-inch tall tires for better clearance. We added power brakes to give us more stopping power. We upgraded the exhaust for a better sound. And we put in a tilt steering column so we could get in and out of it easier. And those simple upgrades gave us a fun, reliable classic Jeep that we literally could drive every day if we wanted to, except for one thing, that old ratty top. Now, don't get me wrong, the soft top on a Jeep was great. You could roll them up in the back and on the sides. And what other vehicle could you just pull the doors off and toss them and not care? Unfortunately, the tops had some problems too. The snaps were always a pain. The material would sag with age and it would crack and it would split. And the windows would get scratched and hazy, make them hard to see out of. The latches on the doors were cheap plastic and usually broke, and the weather stripping around the doors was non-existent. So wind and rain was a constant companion. So we are going to pull off this old top one last time and retire it for good. Now, the new top that we're going to be using is called the Supertop from Bestop, and it keeps all the looks and features of the original top, but it gets rid of all of those problems at the same time, starting with all of these snaps around the tub. The new top doesn't use those, so those all need to come out, as well as these brackets for the straps. To keep the holes from rusting, some touch-up paint or a dab of silicone will seal them up nice. Okay, once everything is cleaned up and out of the way, we are ready to start putting on the new top. And the first thing we need to do is measure from the windshield frame. You got it, Jonathan? All right. To the back of the body. And this needs to be 67.5 inches on both sides. Now, if it's a little off, you can adjust this by using shims up at the pivot point of the windshield. And ours is right on. Once that's done, we're ready to mount the windshield retainer bracket. And it just installs with the supplied hardware. The rear corner rails and the side rails are next. And just like the windshield bracket, once you drill your holes, the supplied screws and threaded plates hold them in place on the body. We'll finish it up with the rear tailgate rail. That gives us the lower foundation for the top to seal to. One of the things that makes the Supertop unique is the door latch, and that consists of a metal bracket and an adjustable striker, and then we'll mount the front door striker to the windshield frame using the supplied hardware. The bow assembly is next, and it mounts to the side rails and the front striker bracket. All right, that takes care of the framework. Now we are ready for the top material. And don't even think about doing this if the temperature is less than 70 degrees, because this stuff will shrink on you and you'll just end up fighting it. Also, don't worry about all these little wrinkles like this, because once you get this thing in place, get it out in the sun, all of that stuff will disappear. The material slides in at the windshield first and then snaps to the rear bow to secure the roof piece. The rear corners snap into the rails, and then the rear bow is adjusted to get the proper tension on the top. A lot different than the original snap-on top. Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where we are putting a new Supertop on our classic CJ5 project. Now, as you can see, the main top is in place, and other than the fact that there are no snaps around the perimeter tub, it kind of just looks like a new version of what we took off. But you're going to find out they are completely different when we get to the doors, the side windows, and the rear window. Take a look. The side curtains are held on with zippers and plastic strips. So you'll want to start the zippers on the top and the back. Then slip the plastic strip in the bottom and zip the top, and insert the plastic strip at the front and zip the rear. The rear window installs the same way, using zippers and plastic strips. Now for doors, you can see there's quite a difference between the original door and the new Bestop door. This is obviously a two-piece door, and it also has a real metal latch and real weather stripping that goes all around the perimeter of the door. Now they mount just like the original doors in the original hinges, but then they latch and seal like the original doors never did. The upper half of the door slides in place using pins and Velcro. So now you have a full door that seals surprisingly well. So now you can run with full doors, or with the window unzipped, or with the upper removed completely, or the whole door off. The side and rear windows come off in just a few seconds too, so now you have some serious options. Storage was always a problem on these old Jeeps. So we are going to bolt in one of these metal Tuffy storage boxes that not only has cup holders, but also lockable construction, so people aren't going to steal your stuff. And it just bolts between the two seats. Now, speaking of seats, upgrading these stock low back seats with some high back Bestop seats would be a good idea. And we are going to do that, but not today, because we got something else we need to do. If you're driving a carbureted off-road vehicle, man, you really need to think about upgrading to fuel injection. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, man, it's expensive and they're hard to tune. They're a pain in the butt. Not anymore. Look at this sniper system from Holley. These are designed to bolt right in place of your existing carburetor. In this case, this old two-barrel, look at that. It's a direct replacement. And then it comes with the fuel system, the lines, the pump, the filter, all the fittings. a wiring harness, everything you're going to need to bolt this on and go to fuel injection. Also, another area on these Jeeps that was always a problem was the cooling system. And there's no wonder. Look at that radiator. There's no shrouding. The fan's not in a good position. I mean, they were just a mess. So to fix that problem, we're upgrading to this 4-core aluminum radiator from Frostbite. And it is designed to fit directly into the CJ5. And then it has this aluminum shroud and the electric fan. So we're going to fix all those cooling issues just as well. And the best part is all of these parts are designed to just bolt right in place so you can go.
And that's the best part about a project like old Faded Levi. We can drive it on the road, or we can take it out on the trail and do what Jeeps do best. The suspension and tires will handle rough terrain and obstacles. The power brakes and tilt steering column will help keep us in control when we're bouncing around. The sniper fuel injection will help keep the motor running on steep grades and over obstacles. The new radiator and fan will keep us cool when we're running slow. And the old weathered paint means we don't have to worry about dents or dings or scratches. Everybody needs a rig like this. Just like everybody needs a pair of old Faded Levi's.
And now, Seal Tech, brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, helping restore the car of your dreams.
Hey everybody, for today's Seal Tech, we're going to be finishing up our list of the 7 most common mistakes a person can make when they're dealing with weather stripping. Now, just to catch everybody up, here's the 4 we've dealt with so far. Number 1, throwing away the original rubber before you have a replacement. Number 2, not prepping the surface properly. Number 3, not test fitting the new weather stripping. Number 4, not double checking the orientation when you install the new weather stripping. And that brings up number 5, using too much adhesive or not using it correctly. Weather strip adhesive is not like toothpaste or silicone where you need a fat bead on the surface. This will just make a mess. Weather strip adhesive works like a contact cement where you spread a thin coat on both surfaces and let it sit for a few minutes. Then when you bring the 2 parts together, they'll grab and hold, giving you instant adhesion and positioning. Done right, there should be no adhesive visible or squishing out around the edges, and the rubber should stay where you put it on the panel. Mistake number 6 also has to do with adhesive, but after it's been applied. And the mistake is closing the doors, the hood, the trunks, whatever the body panel, before the adhesive has a chance to dry. Even if you've put it on correctly, this can slide the weather strip on the wet adhesive out of its proper channel and allow it to dry there. Not only making a mess, but usually requiring that you buy new weather stripping and do it again. To prevent this, it's important to let the adhesive sit and cure for a few hours before shutting the doors or the trunk. If you want to make sure the weather strip stays in place while it's curing, some strips of masking tape work great to hold it in position. And finally, number 7, take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Because when you get in a hurry, that's when you start doing things like using too much adhesive, or closing the doors too soon, or putting the parts in backwards. Remember, installing weather stripping is a process, just like painting or building an engine or putting together an interior. And if you avoid these 7 little mistakes, it will make that process a whole lot more fun.
And now, Parts Bin.
If there's one tool that everybody needs in a shop, it's a bandsaw. But the question is, do you need a horizontal bandsaw or a vertical bandsaw? Well, before you make that decision, you need to see what the boys from Dake have come out with. This is the SE810 horizontal bandsaw, and it's easy to roll around with locking casters. It runs off 110 power, and it has a hydraulic feed control to dial in the speed of the cut. It also has tungsten steel adjustable blade guides for long wear and accuracy, and it has an automatic shutoff once the cut is complete. Now for power, it uses a high torque DC motor with gear reducer, and that eliminates the need for cumbersome belts and pulleys. And to control that motor, you have a variable speed dial and digital tachometer that will let you go from a super slow 65 feet per minute to 250 feet per minute. But that's not all, because the SE810 will convert to a vertical bandsaw. And to do that, you just release the lower springs, rotate it up, and install the cutting table, and you are ready to cut. So if you're in the market for a bandsaw and can't decide if you need a horizontal or a vertical, the answer is yes with the Dake SE810. Everybody knows that oil is the lifeblood of an engine. But in today's harsh driving environments, it doesn't take long for sludge and stiction to build up and create lubrication problems and wear to kill your engine before it's time. To fix this, Hot Shot Secret has come out with a two-step oil treatment program. First, add Stiction Eliminator to your next oil change. This is part synthetic cleaner and nano lubricant designed to clean and lube your oil system. It'll remove sludge and reduce wear up to 62%, resulting in better mileage and power. Second, run FR3 friction reducer in the next two oil changes. This works with your host oil to further reduce wear up to 43% and increase horsepower and fuel economy up to 5%. Now, I know these numbers sound incredible, but Hot Shot Secret backs them up with science, a world record, and a money-back guarantee.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Woodward Fabrication, selling quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Stephen from Maryville, Tennessee. And his project is a 1958 Chevy Del Rey. Yeah, that's a unique body style. Now, he says that he picked this car because he's always liked the body style, and the car belonged to his best friend's dad who passed away. So he wants to put it back on the road and do his best friend and his dad the honor of doing that. That's a really cool thing to do. Now, as you can see here, he says the car has been in the weeds for a long time, so it's pretty rough, and it needed to be completely restored. But he's looking forward to the time that he can take his friend back down the road in it. So, after he pulled it from the weeds, he pulled out the interior, got the carpet out of the way to see what the floors were like. They were rotten. And so he started working on those, and he started to work on the engine. Now, the engine is the Blue Flame 6, the 235. And he said he got that thing running again. It was all gummed up, but he got it running. And he has slowly worked through the gas tank, the sending units, the rocker panels, the floors, the interior, as he works through this car. Now, he says, obviously, there's a lot to do to it, but he's just loving the project. And one unique thing that he found, on the back, there was a badge that said WQLT. And he believes that this car was a radio giveaway car at one time. That's a great history, man. Look that up. It's always cool to find some pedigree on a car you're working on. So to recognize such a cool project, we hooked up with our buddies at Woodward Fab. We're going to give you one of these tubing notchers. This will allow you to do some fabrication work with tubing. And then we're going to give you a deluxe project planning book. This will allow you to keep track of everything that you're doing to that car. Then we're going to give you one of these V8 Interceptor shirts, and then we're going to give you a gift card from Holley, so you can pick up some Holley products. And then we're also going to give you a year's subscription to one of the Hub magazines, whether it be Truck Hub or Mustang Hub, Wheel Hub, or Chevy Hub. And then finally, we're going to give you away Sergeant Rock diecast. Now, for the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, get your project featured on the show, man, you got to send it to us. Go to our website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit it into What Are You Working On? The website's also the place to find out more information on any products you may have seen on the show, any Gearz merchandise, and how to join Gearz Nation. Now, being a Gearz Nation member gives you access to our new app through Android and iOS, where you can watch all of our Gearz content commercial-free. Also, don't forget to check us out on Amazon Prime for Gearz and the Restoration series. Finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram so you can get some behind-the-scenes footage on our weekly web series, Shifting Gears. And if you're a radio person, make sure you check out our new podcast, Tales of a Gearhead. Well, hopefully this inspires you to get out there and work on something. It may not be a 58 Chevy Del Rey, but I guarantee you there is something cool in the weeds by your house. Go get it, start working on it. We'll see you next time.